The Hells Angels, the most revered motorcycle club in the world, conceals an eerie reality behind its veiled parties. What may appear like a simple meetup of brothers is usually a disguise of a dark and twisted bill of fare in the background. These extravagant motorcycle rallies not only serve as forums for discussing club matters, but often obscure their criminal activities. From prostitution to arms dealing and drug trafficking discussions, these parties are among the most dangerous grounds to tread. But more than that, far from the public eye and the scrutiny of law enforcement, something much worse goes on. And today, we shall reveal what happens inside these Hells Angels parties. Meet, greet, and catch up. These parties, usually held in the Hells Angels clubhouses, begin as any party would with the usual tete-a-tete catch-up. Members may often come together with a focus to settle business concerns, but may get well beyond that. In the face of pleasant culinary artistry, members enjoy the company of each other and chat a large part of their time away. Of course, splashes of liquor to entice the ambiance cannot go unrecognized. But where there's a large crowd of hardened criminals and testosterone-filled brevity, these parties can go either way after heavy binging and partying, hence the strict no-drug policy in these parties. But more often than not, the club members may get into brawls with invited guests who fail to uphold club rules. And woe unto you if you're an outsider, disguising yourself as a member. You'll be lucky to leave there alive if spotted. It goes without saying that if invited, you must maintain good behavior, handle your liquor well, and get it right with everyone you bump into. Actually, the best part of these parties is the whining and dining and the letting loose. These club members start off with light moods about the day or period they haven't been able to catch up. They go on and on about how the success of the bikers club makes them what they are and so on. In a span of a minute, bottles are popped in what seems to be endless drinking. But more than that, these parties create the perfect opportunity to face off. And if you're an outsider donning fake patches and apparel, someone might shout, "Wannabe!" And within a flash of a second, members will descend on you regardless of whether you're loaded or not. However, being the biggest and most dangerous biker club in the world, it's unlikely to see major skirmishes anywhere near these parties. But that happens sometimes. Like in 2006 when several outlaws were shot by Hells Angels near Custer. Or when an off-duty cop wearing a three-piece patch in downtown Sturgis was attacked by a couple of Hells Angels members. If you believe a clubhouse in Sturgis or any of the Hells Angels clubhouses is a neutral territory, then you'd best come out of that trance. In fact, violence can and does occur in these parties. And while they may call their clubhouse a neutral territory, it's a facade to protect them from being banned. So they kinda call a truce when they are there and pretend that they wouldn't harm a fly if it found itself in their party. At least, for the most. The same applies to charity rides or rides for good causes. It's understood that you leave your bad attitude at home. Events like that are considered neutral territory. There might be some hard looks here and there or someone with an attitude causing a commotion. But such situations are reined in by other club members before it grows into something big. It is for this reason that sometimes local authorities deploy off-duty police to work security at these biker club meetups. But for the most part, they're not needed. The name Hells Angels is enough to instill fear to anyone who dares tread their grounds with ulterior motives. Sex orgies. You can't be surprised that Hells Angels parties invite more than just normal activities. With the right amounts of drunk, the party can take a different turn, like turning the meeting into a sex orgy. The overly sniffed chaps and the cockeyed brothers don't actually mind a once-in-a-lifetime steamy session together. The club rules still stand, and that is why you should leave your old lady or mistress at home when invited. While it may seem utterly despicable, it is a routine mostly embraced by members. Perhaps the silver lining after a chaotic night or day party. The essence of sex orgies might not be profound to just anyone, but the loyal members of the club understand the weight of a good time together, and this is just but one way to get at it. There are several instances when this might not go well, but it is hard to hear of these cases, especially with their strict code of silence. What happens in Hells Angels stays in Hells Angels. Many who might have been invited get themselves stomped by the brothers for a lack of decorum and sheer adherence to club rules regarding romantic flings and relationships. However, sex orgies have been deemed to quickly solve these stubborn confusions and help club members to let off the extra energy. Because what better way to do that than a pristinely organized sex revelry? But the ladies must approve to be shared around. These orgies can get out of hand if the sex rules at these parties are not adhered to by newcomers or amateurs. That is why sergeant-at-arms are always present to maintain the order and talk people out of situations that could culminate into physical altercations. The sex in these parties make up an integral part of boosting loyalty among brothers. Women are never allowed to be fully fledged members of these clubs, but with the social privilege they are granted, they can go to major extremes to be appreciated, and they do this perfectly when given a chance to satisfy the needs of the brothers, making these parties memorable. Club members' initiation. These parties offer an elaborate time to assess members who have been in probation awaiting recruitment. In most instances, members who have been waiting to be fully fledged get the opportunity to experience the spotlight. These members can be recruited based on their performance, but more importantly, their conduct and personality. Riders recognized as part of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club have an unruly disposition, rugged and reckless in their outlook. The essence of these personality checks is to ensure the club members fit right into the club's makeup. These parties offer the club an opportunity to invite these members and assure them of their brotherliness. However, it's also a time to test whether they are equally competent and willing to reciprocate these gestures. Most of these parties, therefore, serve as initiation time where they can get to assess their preferable styles of conduct and highlights. These new members get a chance to create rapport with the president, vice president, and sergeant at arms among other senior club members. If it isn't a good time to make certain requests and inquiries about the workings of the club, then there's probably no other better time. For these members, the knowledge of the recruitment process is freely at disposal. First off, they know there's nothing like joining a patch-holding club. These club riders become members by being a hang-around. You're just there. You're not a member. You bring beer, you bring drugs, you are expendable. They will throw you under the bus if it works out for the actual members unapologetically. If you are a prospect, you are still expendable, only now more so. You will be the one holding the drugs when the cops show up. You will be the one hiding or holding the weapon. You'll be the one going to prison, possibly for a very, very long time. In the parties, these prospects get to meet members. And as a prospect, you can only ride at the back of the line. Those who have been dabbed dues, paying members with no right, are initiated into the club where they could now enjoy precise rights in some of these parties and events. The parties are also a good place for the members to get to know the prospects better. Once you join as a prospect, your weekends are no longer yours. It is ride or die time, and these members will be expected to attend weekly events and get to know all their prospective brothers in a 500 to 600 mile radius. At this point, you're a probate. You're the guy with a leather vest and part of the full colors on your back, or possibly a vest that says prospective or probationary. Once the club has put this on your back, they've got enough faith in you that you're probably going to become a full member. That is, of course, if you don't do something stupid and screw up. At some parties, it is the final call, and prospectives get their colors and become fledged members. How long this takes could be a set policy within the club, or it could be whenever the brothers finally feel good and ready to give you that patch. If you survive as prospect, and if someone decides to recommend you, then you might be invited to join the chapter. This could take years to happen, or it may never happen. It may also just happen at a party. Recompensations and recognition of members. Being a part of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club riders may not always go well for everyone. There are those who will bring their A-game on board and make quite an impression. And there are those who won't meet half the expectations of the club even after being confirmed as members. Hells Angels parties are a good place to recompense and reward best-performing members. They are sure to get recognition, be cheered and celebrated, and others get promoted in the event they have done impressively well. The same goes for those who have pretty much fallen short of the glory of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club disposition. They may be called out, taunted, and be reproofed. These parties are the ideal place for utter blunt and trash talk, so you can imagine the extent of retribution, either physical or by means of denunciation that may go down. But this is not to say that these parties are simply put together for the sole purpose of calling out members and awarding those who are exceptional. These parties are exclusively meant to bring back the mojo, light up the clubhouse, get the brothers to have themselves some fun. Recompensating is done in these parties to encourage loyalty, seeing that that is the utmost desirable virtue. Mostly in cases of reproval, the club members may be called individually or personally to maintain confidentiality. They may also be called privately to achieve common ground and stir about negotiations. The vibrant mood of the party cannot be interchanged with a whole session of bad vibe and trash talking. But with the Hells Angels you can certainly expect anything, from clumsy chit-chat, violent approaches to face-off with other rivals or support groups. They never miss a chance to showcase their eminent stature. Rogue, decisive, fast to act. They didn't become the most revered outlaw motorcycle club by luck. This is the eerie reality behind Hells Angels' veiled parties, concealed by a pleasant showcasing of a flair for the bike and high roads. There you have it. That is what happens inside a Hells Angels party. What do you think? Leave a comment below and don't forget to like and subscribe.